Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, June 2nd. We're a little bit after 10 a.m. We're here for the hearings before the Baltimore City Board of Liquor License Commissioners. Just a couple preliminary matters. The first thing that I'd like to do is welcome our new alternate, or our returning alternate, Harvey Jones. Harvey and I had the pleasure of serving together under what's been lovingly or colloquially referred to as the Ward Board, and we're very happy to have Harvey Jones returning and working with us today. So welcome, Harvey.
Thank you.
Did you want to say anything additional? No, you don't have to.
One minute. No.
So nothing has changed in the time that we've been apart. Also, just by way of explanation, our chairman is away. He's out of town. In fact, he's out of the country. He'll be back, I believe, over the weekend or Monday. And he asked if I would serve as acting chair in his absence, and I've agreed to do that. So that's why I'm in the center seat today. One of the things that I observed in the week apart city paper, which all of you know, I read all the newspapers and social media, et cetera. And city paper referred to this agency and this board as the most drama-filled board in the city. And I'm hoping that today we can either live up to that reputation gloriously or not at all, preferably not at all. First up, we have, Doug, do you want to call the first matter?
Yes, Madam Chair. Good morning. I'd like to call the 10 a.m. case for Domingo Kim Enterprises, Inc., trading as Stadium Lounge, 3351-53 Greenmount Avenue. This is a Class BD7 license, beer, wine, and liquor. Protest the renewal under Article 2B, 10301A. This matter was scheduled, originally appeared before the board on May the 19th, and it's been rescheduled. All parties are here to agree to a continuance of this case until June the 23rd, 2016 at 2 a.m.
Right.
At 10 a.m., sorry.
Right, and that would be for the decision phase only. We
Correct.
did have some hearing. There was a request for written papers, motions, which have been provided. Due to the absence of the chairman, we're asking that you consent to postponing this case to June 23rd with the restriction on the license continuing until that date.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing Mr. Kim. You understand what they're asking, that the restriction was that you'll be continue to operate under that until the hearing on the 23rd. Depending on having the 23rd, either they'll be renewed or not renewed. You agree to accept that, is that correct?
Yes.
Say it loud enough, yes, okay.
And Mr. Court Reporter, you recognize that as Mr. Kim's assent? Okay.
Should we swear him in, or
I think you should, just so that it's under oath and everything's official.
raise your hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, so you affirmatively agree under the penalty of perjury, what you're saying is correct,
Yes.
okay?
Okay. And is there any opposition from?
No, Becky Witt, on behalf of the Waverly Improvement Association, that is fine with us. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Next matter, please.
Madam Chair, another preliminary matter. The matter involving 1000 West Lombard Street has been postponed. Scheduled on the 10 a.m. docket this morning. It has been postponed, and all parties will be notified as to the new date and time of the hearing.
Okay, and just so for clarity's sake, that's Sarbjeet Singh and Audrey DeGrosse, trading as, it's Badwal LLC. The trade name is pending. Location is 1000 West Lombard. That matter is going to be postponed.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
And do we have a specific date yet or not yet?
No specific date at this time.
All right, thank you. The next matter.
I'd like to call the case of Michael McDevitt and James DePino Jr., Pull the Trigger LLC, trading as Wayward Southern Bar and Kitchen, 1117 South Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, a request to add outdoor table service. All parties testifying, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, and could you state your name for the record,
Good
please?
morning, Madam Chairman. Peter Previs on behalf of the licensees. One point of clarification. The request that's before us today is for live entertainment. The premises previously had outdoor table service, even though it's on the docket that way.
Right. The docket reads that it's an application for outdoor table service, live entertainment, delivery of alcoholic beverages, and off-premise catering. And I appreciate the clarification. You're just here for live entertainment.
Yes,
Okay.
everything else I believe is on the license. If the delivery is not on it, that could actually, but I don't know that requires a hearing, but we're really here about the live entertainment.
Okay, let's focus on what we're here for. All right,
Okay,
and
if-
tell us what we're here for,
Thank
please.
you. If I may proffer, the premises was purchased, Mr. DePino is the manager, he owns 1%. Michael McDivitt owns the other 99%. Unfortunately, Mr. McDivitt had a business meeting in New York today. I contacted Mr. Page and advised him, we wanted to go forward, and we believed it was expedient to go ahead, and he knows we're here, and we hope that that's not an issue with the board. Now, the premises was purchased right around January 1st of this year. It's 1117 South Charles Street, previously known as C&R Pub. When we were here before the prior board, Mr. McDivitt explained, and Mr. DePino explained, that the place was being purchased and would be operated under its existing trade name as C&R, but that the plans were to rebrand the restaurant and change it to more of a Southern barbecue restaurant type of operation, which has occurred. The premises or the business is now known as Wayward, and it has both a lunch menu and a regular menu. And this request for live entertainment, the licensees first met with the South Baltimore Neighborhood Association back in December while the liquor license transfer was pending. There is an MOU. The live entertainment was agreed to. Subsequently, we went before the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals, and a resolution was passed on April 8th, 2016, approving the request for live entertainment as a conditional use, subject to the conditions stated therein and incorporating by reference the MOU. I believe there's a copy in the packet of the board resolution. I have a copy of it, as well as the MOU, if that would help the board.
I'd like to see the MOU. I don't know that I have that. This is the MOU.
It is.
Okay. Do you want to continue on?
Basically, the request of the licensees is to provide for an area for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for an acoustic guitar player. There's a small area in the
Do you want to see the-
front of the premises, which is in the southernmost corner, just acoustical music. We did indicate on the zoning conditional use application, in the event of a private party that there might be a DJ, we specifically amended to take out any karaoke because there's no plans for any type of karaoke. But really what the request is for an acoustic guitar player Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. The zoning as well as the MOU limit any type of entertainment from 5 to 1 on Fridays and Saturdays and 9 to 6 p.m. on Sunday. It's not going to be that long. It's more of a
Do you mean 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday?
yes, because
Because
of
everybody's in church
Ravens.
then. Oh, Ravens. Oh, that's church.
It is in that Ravens neighborhood,
Yes.
Madam Chairman. In any event, that is the basic request. It's to enhance the southern barbecue type of atmosphere that they're building. It's, and unless the board has any other questions, I believe it's what we're requesting.
So my question was clearly there won't be any karaoke. You all,
Yeah, that's been
because that was
specifically
excluded
out
by
of
the
of
BMCA,
resolution. Yes.
and the community didn't want it, and you agreed
Right.
to that. Okay.
The only thank you, Madam Chair. The only question I have is your application says karaoke for private parties, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, we're requesting that that request be stricken.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other issue with
Well,
the zoning board, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The other issue with the zoning board is there's live entertainment and dancing, and I put on the zoning application the and dancing just in case somebody breaks out in dancing, but there's no, it's a restaurant. It's not going to be designed to tear all the tables out and put a huge dance floor or anything like that.
Okay, Commissioner Jones, any questions?
No, none.
Okay. I didn't see and dancing. Where is that?
But I just wanted to make clear to the liquor board that when you apply to zoning, they have a multi-page questionnaire and they ask, are you gonna have dancing? And we said, we really don't want it. And they said, why don't you just put it on there in case somebody breaks out in dancing?
Oh,
But is there any opposition to the dancing here today?
No.
okay. Well, so here's the confusion for me. The application is for live entertainment.
Yes.
But there was no request for dancing, which, as you know, that's a distinction with that matters. So it's not in the application, and so we're not in a position to grant it.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's
All right.
fine.
Okay.
So we can specify that live entertainment, but no dancing is included in this decision.
Correct. I mean, it's simply live entertainment. So people better not break out and dance. They better hold their feet.
A couple questions. Just
sure.
a couple questions, so I can. So there is belief on your part that there's a need for this.
Oh, absolutely. Mr. DePino, this is to go along with the rest of your branding and your.
The southern theme, just have somebody play acoustic, quick set, 2 or 3 hours in the evening before like 9 o'clock.
And you've never had any violations, never had any issues in the past?
So,
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ready for a decision? Anything else that we should consider? Okay. I find that the applicant has provided sufficient bases for granting the request to add live entertainment to the license, and so I vote to approve that.
I agree.
I agree as well. Obviously, Mr. Del Pino indicating that there's a need. He believes there's a need and desire for the license, given his niche, market. This is Federal Hill. There are a number of these locations. It's what I would consider somewhat of an entertainment area. So I think that is unique in and of itself. Given your testimony that there have not been any violations, no issues that we're aware of, I too grant the application.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to give this back to you, the MOU.
Thank you.
Ready? Okay, you can call the next case.
Mr. Philip Myers and Joey Bartholomew, Cookers Music Bistro LLC, trading as Cookers Music Bistro, 885-89 North Harwood Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership and request for live entertainment. All parties testifying, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the applicant. The current license has live entertainment on it, as in your record, so that it's a little bit of a misnomer. If I can, I'll proffer some of the information on this. In this case here, Mr. Meyer was a prior licensee. He ran the establishment there prior to 2012 for a period of 6 or 8 years. The tenant has since left, and he has taken over the property. He owns the property. He's met with the Mount Vernon Belvedere people. They have come in his place. In fact, they have their meetings there. They can't wait for him to take over so they can come in and have their Christmas party there. Never been invited to it, so I can't tell you if it's good or bad. He has had experience in the business, having previously operated the establishment. He will provide the alcohol awareness certificates and so forth. The other gentleman here is the local city resident, was required by law to have until the law may be changed or not changed. as it was with Baltimore County. The public need and desire for the license would be because this license has been there for probably 20 or 30 years. It won't affect a number of other licensees in the area because he coexists with them. The commonality of uniqueness of services that he does serve the community along the Mount Vernon, and they're very familiar with this place, and they can't wait till he gets open again. And it won't have any negative effect on the health, safety, welfare of the area. He has security cameras which he'll provide to the police, keeping on a 7-day loop if there's any type of negative activity in the area. And other than that, he's not making any changes to the way the establishment is set up. Yeah, he'll just freshen it up. His corporation's in good standing. He's otherwise met all the criteria for the transfer of the present license. If the board would ask Mr. Myers any questions, he'll be glad to answer them.
So my first question, we're transferring it from whom to whom?
From the current licensee, Mr. Hudson, and it's a Phase
10.
Phase 10, to his corporation, Phase 10 Lifestyles LLC, and Mr. Hudson to Mr. Cooker.
To Mr. Cook?
To
Myers, I'm sorry. Cookers is the name of the LLC, I'm sorry.
And just so I'm following the bouncing ball here, Mr. Myers has had the license in the past,
Yes.
and it's sort of gone back and forth.
Transferred in 2012 to the current licensee, who's now left, and he was there prior to 2012 for about 6 years.
So Mr. Myers had it, he transferred it to Mr. Hudson, and that was Phase 10. And then Phase 10 left
Right.
the property, it closed, and now the plan is to transfer it from Mr. Hudson back to Mr. Myers. And Mr. Myers lives in Perry Hall?
Yes.
In Baltimore. And who's Mr. Myers?
I'm Mr. Myers.
Oh, you're Mr. Myers. Okay, and who are you?
He's a city resident.
And what is your name? Joey Bartholomew. Okay. So, Mr. Myers, and who owns Cooker's Music
I do.
Bistro?
I do.
You do.
Yes.
And you registered it in Florida.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, I was looking to
Do you
open a
want to swear him
restaurant.
in, or-
I thought you already were.
Men, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Was
yeah,
not-
yeah. I think we
once
swore.
again,
in.
not paying
I think we
attention.
swore. Yeah, we swore in.
Get off the boat. You're back in Baltimore. Vacation's over. Right? Aren't you the one that went on the international cruise or something?
pictures?
I did not see pictures, and I can wait for those. Or actually, I'll wave. All right, go ahead. Tell us about Cookers.
Well,
Mu- music-
Cooker's Music Bistro. I was opening a restaurant in Florida. I'm actually the landlord here at 885 North Howard Street, and
So you own the property?
Yes.
At 885?
yes,
Okay.
yes. So I took back the property in January of this year, January 4th.
What do you mean you took back the property?
Took back the lease.
Oh, okay. So
Not
you're
property,
the
I'm sorry,
owner,
The business.
You're
yes,
the
yeah.
owner.
Yes, yes.
and it was being leased to Phase 10.
Right, right.
They're
Since
gone.
2011, yes.
So, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go ahead.
That's basically it. So now I'm looking to operate the restaurant. So that's why Cookers was initially registered in Florida. And
Why?
well, because I was looking to open a restaurant in Florida.
Oh, okay.
And then this came up, and I registered it last year. And so I decided just to use the same name.
Okay.
And just, and I registered with Maryland.
Okay.
So I'm fully registered with Maryland.
Okay. And Cooker's Music Bistro, will they be on the license or not on the license? I'm just
They'll be the owner. The LLC would be the owner of the
the
license.
owner of the license. Okay.
Be represented by the officers or members, which would be the two individuals that are here.
Okay. All right. And then Mr. Bartholomew, where do you live? And you can speak into the microphone, please.
I live at 725 East 37th Street.
East 37th Street.
Yes.
And do you have any experience operating a bar or a liquor license?
No, I've never owned a bar or run a bar.
He's really only serving the purpose because the legislature, the bill didn't make it into the legislature to change the statute.
It didn't make it.
They didn't put it in, it didn't make it. They thought they had it in to change that all you have to do be as a Maryland resident and not as Baltimore County. So he got caught up in whatever happened there.
Okay. Now, if I'm understanding, Mr. Myers owns property in Baltimore City.
Yes.
Okay.
885, and I live in Perry Hall
Okay.
since 2008.
Okay. And what experience, if maybe we'll switch back to you, what experience do you have operating a bar?
Well, I operated this
restaurant.
restaurant since 2006,
Mhm.
and previously I had another restaurant since 1999, and 26 years in the restaurant business, since 1990.
Since 1990?
Yes.
Okay. And have you ever had any violations
No,
or any
no,
problems?
No, been very good.
You've been very
Very
good.
good.
Okay.
Try to run a good business.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Greenfield, any questions?
I just have a couple. Just making sure that the layout, looking through the application, I see the layout here. On 2 floors, you have table set up for service. This is in alignment with what has been in the past?
Yes, there's no changes.
Nothing changed there?
Right.
Okay. And you said you have been in the restaurant business for years.
Yes.
Did any of those restaurants have liquor consumption?
Yes.
Any violations?
No. No.
I'm good.
Now, has Cookers opened?
The
or
takeout section is open.
The takeout section is open, because you got a pretty nice write-up in the
Yeah.
Baltimore Business Journal,
Yeah.
and it sounds great.
Yeah, people excited. Well, anyway, yes. It's
Yeah,
very good.
did you bring any menus or sample menus?
No,
No
it's
samples,
more
sir.
like Louisiana Southern,
Mhm.
We have like
It's a
rice bowls. and-
Cajun, you know, they talk
Cajun,
about honey, bring in the onions.
Well,
Well, yeah.
oh, geez. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions from
None.
anything else that you want us to consider? Okay, so for decision phase, I believe that there are no issues with respect to the character of the applicants, which is really the only question. We've not heard any testimony that would cause us to question their character. The background research, I think, was done and revealed nothing. I think the fact that Mr. Myers has been in the business for, almost 30 years without any issues is significant. So for those reasons, I believe that you've established qualifications for us to transfer the license, and so I support that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I concur with exactly what you said. Thank you.
Oh,
So do I.
okay. It's all right. Congratulations, and step to the right.
Yes.
We're okay?
Ready? Okay. You call the next case, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jennifer Oliver Martin, Harry Oliver Management LLC, trading as Worthrat, 801-03 South Ann Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. A request to add outdoor table service. All interested parties, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mr.
Good.
Fogelman?
Good to see you, Commissioner. Good to see Commissioner Greenfield, and always a pleasure to see Commissioner Jones, who's now served 10 years, 10 different years under 4 different boards. I'm calling him Cal Ripken. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So you're here to request to add outdoor table service.
Yes,
All right,
thank you.
and has everyone been sworn in? Do we have people that are going to testify for, and I think some against? All right, everyone's been sworn. All right, tell us about the application.
Thank you very much. And first, by way of preliminary matters, I just want to make sure that the board has, as part of the application and in evidence, the zoning decision of February 1st, 2016, pursuant to the hearing of January 12th.
We do.
And within that regard, I just want to make it clear that on January 12th, 2016, 5 men and women of Baltimore, the BMZA unanimously concluded to allow the restaurant to be used as a restaurant with outdoor tables pursuant to some voluntary agreements that they had offered up with the BMZA. So we're not here today to determine the use of a restaurant. We're not here today to talk about food, to that great extent. And that's something that was discussed at the BMZA back in January. So I just want to make sure the focus here, the tables have already been approved. It's a question of whether or not alcoholic beverages go on those tables today.
Exactly right.
So unless there's any argument on that, I'd like to proceed in order that we plan not to present evidence on food sales and determine the use of a restaurant.
I think the only question is whether or not there can be service of alcohol at the outdoor tables that
Right.
were already approved by the BMZA with restrictions.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so
All right, I'll call my first witness at this time. That's Jennifer Oliver Martin. Miss Martin has been sworn. Miss Martin, tell me where you live.
928 Fell Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21231.
And that is in Fells Point, Maryland?
That's correct.
All right. And tell me about your family's history in Fells Point.
The Oliver family's been an established name in Fells Point since 1984. We've owned the Wharf Rat since 1987, and at all times we've really tried to take great care, to run the business with in a very high standard, to maintain an attractive interior and facade, and to contribute to the general well-being of the neighborhood and the city.
All right. And tell me any other business ventures in Fells Point involving your family?
My father owns China Sea Marine Trading Company with Steve Bunker back in the 80s. That's now been moved to Maine. He's no longer involved in that.
All right. And so you've owned the Wharf Rat at 801 to 803 South Ann for 29 years
It'll
now?
be 29 years on July 2nd.
All
So
right.
talk to Cal Ripken.
Right. And in speaking of longevity, tell me the history of the use of 801 to 803 South Ann Street prior to your coming on board 29 years ago.
Well, we've been able to trace back, as far as liquor board, the use has always been an entertainment and drinking establishment to an extent, to 1835. We actually feel that we're really caretakers of this building that dates to the 1700s. And we just spent $80,000 putting a brand-new, historically accurate standing seam roof on this building. And when that roof came down, we were able to tell that the building does date from the mid-1700s and has always been some form of a drinking and entertainment establishment.
All right. Now, since you've owned the premises, the restaurant, over the last 29 years, have you noticed a pattern in terms of drinking versus dining at the establishment?
We've certainly increased our food sales considerably. We are very much a neighborhood bar. For instance, yesterday, is Pizza Wednesday. Wednesday's Pizza Wednesday. Many of the neighborhood children come in, and everybody has a pizza party from, say, like 4:30 when school gets out to, say, 6:30. And then we have a shift change, and some young adults will come in for pizzas. It's much more dining than it was at the beginning when we took over, when there was very little food at all.
All right, and since the Maryland indoor smoking ban came into effect in 2009, what steps have you taken to minimize noise or disturbances by customers who choose to smoke?
Well, obviously they can't smoke inside, so we have them, they have to go outside. We've posted signs, and when my bartenders are able, they request that people go to the side of the building, to the Lancaster side of the building, to smoke, so that they don't interfere with the neighborhood as much. Obviously, there's only so much we can do. Smoking is legal, whether you like it or not, and we try what we can to convince people that to keep it out of the doorway and out of the traffic. But there's only so much we can do with a legal issue.
And have you generally maintained dialogue with your neighbors over the years?
We've had a continuous dialogue for the 29 years. Just a few examples. We have attempted for 29 years to address a lot of the concerns of the neighbors and the community. We installed and widened our door. We installed a ramp and widened our door for handicap access. We installed soundproofing on our internal doors because they were too loud for the neighbors. They thought the neighbors. We do request, as we talked about, the patrons smoke on the side. We've tried to be very interactive with our neighbors and respond to concerns as soon as possible.
All right, in that regard, have you noticed outdoor tables popping up around Fells Point over the last 10 years?
Oh, absolutely. There are actually two other restaurants on the same block as ours that have numerous outdoor seated tables, and we've made a concession, again, talking with the neighbors and trying to work out how we can get this done. We've agreed to pull in our tables at 9 o'clock so that it's less disruptive, whereas those other two restaurants serve till 2 in the morning.
Let me ask you this. Do you know of any other places in Fells Point that have agreed to pull in, completely cease service and pull their tables in by 9 p.m.?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know other restaurants that have much more than 10 seats?
Oh, absolutely. Same, on the same block, yes.
All right, and let's enlighten the board on the debate of high tops versus low tops, and what high tops can sometimes cause problems.
Well, high tops to us is people standing around and drinking. What we're trying to do here is provide an outdoor service, dining service. You know, people seated dining with served food, served alcoholic beverage, as per the liquor law. We're not trying to create a outdoor party atmosphere. It's really strictly for dining, which is another reason we agreed to bring everything in at 9 o'clock.
All right, and did you agree that only servers can bring drinks to the outdoor tables?
Absolutely, that's the liquor law.
And how would you,
As I understand it.
provide security and safety from the outdoor, while the outdoor tables were in use?
We're going to monitor it. You know, this is something new for us. We're going to, at first, we're going to hire a server, a full-time server, you know, but we have to see if that's warranted. If not, it's very easy for us to put a set of cameras outside so that if we have 2 inside bartenders, they will be able to see immediately if someone's outside. Monitoring is, you know, it's everything. It's an ongoing process. We can't make rules for a situation that we don't have yet. We obviously have a lot of thoughts, and we will be really, really vigilant, as we always try to be.
All right, but you think low tables will prevent drinkers from standing around?
Well, they can't drink unless they're dining. So, yeah, I would think.
All right, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce a couple of documents. Just a few copies there. If you're happy to grab one as the original.
Oops.
All right, and the document on the front page is a seating diagram showing the outdoor tables. Isn't that right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and again, it may say high tops on there, but it's not high tops, right?
No.
And you weren't approved by zoning for high
No,
tops, right?
And we actually have the physical tables. They are this.
Okay, and that shows the location of the 2 tops, 5 two-seaters, right?
That's correct.
All right, and then the next page shows your sign that you have on your door that says no smoking in front of the building, right?
Right.
All right, and don't you in fact, you close the door at 9 p.m. nightly, even in the summer, spring,
Yes,
fall?
absolutely.
All right. The next document, tell me about any support that you've provided for the community or the Fells Point Park.
have a
And I'm sorry, I did give away my copy. Page 3.
Oh, yes.
Tell me what that page 3 is.
Right, this is a thank you note from one of the opposition for our support of the Friends of Thames Street Park is trying to raise money to redo Thames Street Park for the children of the neighborhood, and for 2 years is how long it's been going on. We donated all the beer and the servers for that, and this is a thank you note confirming that.
All right, and when was that issued, approximately?
I would say early November. It's always on Halloween, so I would say early November
2015.
2015.
All right, thank you. The fourth document shows the actual tables themselves, isn't that right?
That's correct. Yes.
All right. And you do get a lot of families who come to the restaurant?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. All right, and you again, just to clarify, the primary purpose of your request here is to allow diners the option to eat outdoors.
That's correct, and also to support our effort to maintain this historical building. And, with this, we're at a competitive disadvantage, not having those outside tables, not being as visible as some of the other places. The revenue from the tables will help us be able to, it's a 250-year-old building. It needs a lot of TLC.
All right, and do you believe you'd be asking for outdoor tables if everyone else already didn't have them? I mean, do you believe that you understand, based on the behavior of other licensees with respect to their outdoor tables, that you will be the most vigilant operator in Fells Point with respect to your tables.
I'm uncomfortable commenting on
All
their
right.
behavior,
Yeah.
but I think I will be as vigilant as we've proven to be over 29 years.
Very well. Let me ask to introduce a petition to support outdoor tables. Did you put a petition up at the restaurant
Yes.
back in January, November, December? Yeah.
And then my guys got bored. Once the
After you
hearing
got
got delayed,
500?
they forgot.
Yeah.
So,
All
yeah, that's about 500 signatures.
All right. And would you like some time to take a look at the petition?
Well, actually, yes,
Sure.
I would. Thank you.
Sure. All right. And have you personally heard from your own customers that they wished you had offered outdoor dining with drinks?
People have continually come up to me because everybody knew that the hearing was meant to be on the 21st of March, and you know, it's got to be really nice. We had a couple of nice spring days there in between and amongst the rain, and everybody's like, "Why don't you have your outside tables?" So yeah, I would say yes.
All right.
I'm good.
All right, and we'll, at this point, we'll submit based on the entrance for the admission of the petition.
Okay, Cross.
Yes. So,
Move for admission, it's received.
Okay.
Thank you.
so you had a special event for one day in September, correct?
That's correct.
So you were able to serve alcohol during that special event
Yes.
outside at outdoor
that's
tables? Okay. And did the tables look like the diagram that you submitted?
They're the same tables.
The same tables? Okay. Did you provide outdoor wait staff service to those tables?
Yes, my
during that
partner and I
event?
actually did it ourselves
Okay.
to make sure that nothing went wrong.
Okay. Did you receive any complaints about anything that happened during that event?
I understand that people were a bit noisy around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
So will you require people to order food alongside alcoholic beverages out at the tables outside?
Yes, as per the liquor laws, and I believe I've said that about 3 times, so yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you have a kitchen in your facility?
We do.
Okay. I don't see it on the, can you show it where it is on the floor plan?
It is actually behind the bar. It's an extremely efficient kitchen. I can show you. It's right here. We have a pizza oven and what's called an auto fry, which is a self-contained frying machine that everybody wants in their own home, steamer, and microwave and sandwich board. And you have copies of the menu. That's where we found we can do our 8-page menu.
Okay. All right, I think those are all of my questions.
Oh, and then very quick on redirect.
Sure.
Thank you. With respect to that auto fry that everybody wants in their homes, you said, how much does that cost?
$8,000.
Okay, thank you.
I don't want one.
Have you seen it?
It doesn't
It
matter.
has its own Facebook page. People sit there.
Does it
and-
really? So does it like fry while you watch on?
Yes. But you don't see it. It's self-contained.
It would
goes into
actually-
one door. It's a black box of frying.
It would actually have to go to the grocery store, pick out the food, bring it home, unpack it, store it, bring it back out, cook it, and serve it for me to make that kind of a purchase.
I guess you'll just have to come to the
I have to come to the, whose is this? Is this, that's yours. Oh, okay. All right, do you have any questions?
I have a couple. Ms. Martin? So the zoning decision says 5 tables and no more than 5 tables and 10 patrons.
That's correct.
So, 5 tables, so what if there are 3 tables? No more than 10. So I just want to make sure we understand.
10 is the absolute.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also mentioned the idea of cameras and the possibility of putting cameras out there. Is that something you will do?
I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do. Yeah, we will feel this out and be as responsive as I believe we always have been to the neighbors to just make sure that this goes as smoothly as possible.
Right. And will you continue to have, should this be granted, will you continue to have dialogue with the community, continue to listen to their concerns, should there be any?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Just
Commissioner
one
Jones?
slightly, you slightly answered this question earlier. You say you would put monitors up, and that way you can see who comes to sit in the area. You also said earlier that you open to pizza parties and young folks come in and have a great time. With that in mind, I got two individuals sitting at a table on the outside. I know on the inside you can monitor who drinks because you can kind of like keep an eye on that. But on the outside, how do you monitor to make sure that the 22-year-old don't slip the 19-year-old a sip of that
I
whatever?
hear you. We are czars when it comes to carding. That's why I say we'll have a server. We'll have somebody monitoring that. And the alcoholic beverages will be placed. I mean, it's actually going to be pretty easy with two tops. I mean, with 10 people. You know, if we were looking at, say, something that happens just down the street, where you have 24 people at a table and some 19-year-old walks by, who's going to really know if he's drinking or not? But I think with this small a sample, we'll be able to monitor this really easily.
I say this to raise your consciousness so that you would put something in place so you can watch for that.
Oh, I
If by
understand.
chance this is approved.
I understand.
So my question is, how close are you to residential
We
properties?
have adjoining walls. Yeah,
With a residential property?
that's correct.
And what about the other licensees that, you said that there are two licensees on the block that already have outdoor table service and they serve until 2 a.m. Where are they in approximation to a residence?
At least one has an adjoining wall with a residence.
Okay,
I'm not certain about the other. The point,
Okay.
I'm not sure of who lives quite where. The point, I think, adjoins the Robert Long House, so that's not a residence.
I don't know what that is.
I know. Well,
Historic.
It's
a historic,
yeah,
okay,
the oldest building in Fells Point.
okay. Okay.
Ms. Martin, how would you safeguard against someone coming to the bar to order a drink because the server's taking too long and then sit outside? Walk me through, will you train bartenders?
Oh, yeah, we will have extensive training with bartenders on walking, and, I mean, we know that this is a privilege. We know that this is a privilege, and it would be really easy to lose if we mess up even once. And so we're gonna be really on top of it, if, no matter how many people we have to hire, if I have to hire someone to sit outside permanently, and make sure that nothing works. This is how valuable I think this is going to be in my business.
Do you have any security at Warfrat, bouncers, anything of the like?
We do on Friday and Saturday night, which is, when we would traditionally use it. We are a very docile place. We have very few fights or issues. But, and the bouncers, the doormen, we call them doormen because they're not bouncing, it's not, are really there mainly to ID.
Okay.
And, if we need to bring them in earlier, which we actually would probably do because we are going to physically take those tables in every night. And I've actually changed the door, our side door, so that it can come around the side and go very easily up the steps. We've tried to think this through as much as we could without jinxing things.
So one of the things that I've noticed with outdoor table service, there are two dynamics that come into play that can really be problematic. One is that people will just go to the tables without being seated, and their expectations are to be served no matter what they order. Smoking and drinking and not eating. How will you manage that?
It's gonna. I know it's gonna be a challenge. Again, it's with monitoring. This is an example. We have taught people over the years how to dine at the Wharf-Rat. We don't have table service inside. We come to the bar, order at the bar. Your food is brought to you. And over 29 years, people get it. So you get the occasional person who's really upset. But we can train people to do that. Again, you've got a very small sample that we're talking about. And people are, it's on the street. People are going to come and sit down, which is why, my bartenders will be able to see the camera. They'll be out there like a flash. And we'll have a server who, if not transporting food and drinks, will be, out there and monitoring.
Right, and the other unexpected consequence of outdoor table service, which I have, I love it. makes, there are a lot of benefits to it. You've got more flow of traffic, you've got more eyes on the street. It's a sort of a passive crime watch benefit because you've got people outside, which is a great thing. But one of the downsides is that with the outdoor table service comes increased trash. It's not always pretty to walk by a table that has been served and left, and they've left their dishes and their trash. So that's a really important part of it. What's the plan for taking care of that piece and making sure that there isn't garbage and trash outside,
Well, I
which
mean,
is you would be responsible for?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a cleaner, we hose down and clean up every day. I have a daily trash service. We also use all plastic materials, and so it'll be really easy to clean. The server who's going to be outside is going to be busting those tables because it's to their benefit to have those tables looking great so that the next person comes along.
Yeah. And then did I hear you say that at night you'll bring the tables in?
Yes.
So they won't be available for people to sit out
Yep.
and smoke and drink
Exactly.
and hang
Yeah.
out. And,
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That was one of our concessions to the neighborhood.
Okay. Do my questions inspire additional questions? No? Okay.
No.
Any other witnesses in support of this?
No, that'll be our case. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Okay, Becky Witt on behalf of the Fells Point Residents Association, which is in opposition to the outdoor tables. I have kind of a preliminary completeness of the application issue to bring up before we get into the 10202A factors. So under Article 2B, Section 9-101C, which we're under because the applicant has an LLC, a limited liability company. It says the license shall be applied for and issued to 3 of the authorized persons of the LLC as individuals under subsection 1 of Section C. And then towards the end of that section under subsection, let's see, 5(2), it says, in the case of a limited liability company in which there are less than 3 authorized persons, all authorized persons shall make the application as provided in this section. In this case, there are 2 authorized persons of the LLC in the application, and only 1 person as the applicant. So I just wanted to point that out as being inconsistent with Article 2B, Section 9-101C. There are 2 authorized persons, and only 1 of them is an applicant.
May I respond?
Yes.
All right, thank you. First of all, I think that section of law is complying with a transfer of ownership and not an accessory outdoor table use. But that having been said, the license for years has had the name Jennifer Oliver Martin on it, and that name's always been accepted, vetted for renewal. In this case, Jennifer Oliver Martin's name remains the only name on the license that was issued by this board in 2014, 15, and 16. It's clear, we've disclosed that her father, Mr. Oliver, holds 20% of the LLC on the application. This application was vetted for completeness by staff, as all are, prior to hearings, and I cannot see the applicability here or the fact that that's applicable at this level of hearing. This is a request to add outdoor table service. This is not a protest of renewal. This is not a transfer of ownership. This is not a request for a new Class B license. This is simply about outdoor tables. And so to say that the license is flawed because of 9101C, which is not applicable in this situation, because we are simply talking about adding outdoor tables. So I will rest on that.
Okay. Can you respond?
Well, I don't see anything in 9101 that limits it to, transfers. It says a license. I do take Mr. Fogelman's point that it's talking about a license may not be issued.
We have the license.
Indeed. I was just pointing out that that this is the requirement in 9101, that all the authorized persons be listed on the license. This is an application for an extension of the licensed premises. And I think the board has kind of considered that to be an application for the issuance of a license under this this section. I just wanted to point it
Well,
out.
let me make a point as to that, and as far as I know, I do think the board has considered them apples and oranges for years. And to wit, I would say that when you file, for many years, when you would file an application to transfer, you'd have to get the character witnesses to sign. For many years, for live entertainment or outdoor tables, you didn't need character witnesses to sign. So I think they are treated differently.
Yeah, so I'm going to take this as a question of law, and as I read Article 2B, Section 9-101, it specifically applies to the issuance of a license and what the requirements are for the issuance of a license. We're not here today to talk about the issuance of a license, and so I think I don't find that section to be applicable to what we're talking about today. I hear what you're saying, and I understand the concern, but that's not what we're about today. If we were talking about a transfer of the license or an issuance, I think that would be something that you would want to be very mindful of. Also, there's some grandfathering that happens that when someone's had a license for so many years, and that hasn't been an issue. But that's not a question that we have to decide today, and I'm not deciding that issue. I am deciding the issue that with respect to the argument that you raised, that as a preliminary motion, I think that was a motion, that I would deny that motion for the reasons already stated.
Okay. Okay, so on to the substance of the argument, which we will be, sorry, not we, the board. Not, I won't be involved. The board will be evaluating under Article 2B, Section 10-202A factors. There are two subsections under 10-202A2 that both apply to not only issuing a license, but also issuing any kind of extension of the premises, which is basically what we're doing here. I would just point out that
If I may, I'm used to years of calling testimony. I don't know if this is closing arguments more akin
I
to.
thought that this was sort of like an opening statement.
Okay,
Is
my-
that,
my
that's how I'm
apologies.
hearing it?
that's how I'm intending it.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, all right.
So I
Proceed.
just wanted to make sure that we have the factors in front of us that will be testified to by the people who are present. Actually, could we borrow a microphone, maybe Ms. Russell's microphone?
Sure.
Unless she wants to talk. Okay, thank you. All right. So I guess first I'll call Mr. David Martz. Do you want to step up to the microphone a little closer? Mr. Martz, can you introduce yourself for the record?
David Martz. I am the property owner at 805 South Ann, directly next door to the Wharf Rat.
And you're also the president of the Fells Point Residents Association?
Yes, I am.
So can you talk a little bit about, let's, I guess, focus on the event in September of 2015 when there was the one-day license that allowed service to outdoor tables. Can you talk a little bit about what you experienced as the adjoining resident to the Wharf Rat?
Yes, actually, I've got a video on my phone. I sent it to Becky as well. I was on my third floor working on my laptop, and just my windows were open, and heard a lot of screaming, laughing, just a lot of noise. It was actually quite disturbing, and that's on my third floor. It was very disturbing, and I would hate to have to deal with that on a constant day-to-day basis.
And what time approximately was that?
That was about 3 to 3:30.
Okay.
And
Did
can
you
I-
take some photographs on that day
I did, yes.
of what you saw outside? So I'm gonna, are these the photographs? I guess there are 3 of them.
Yes, they are.
Okay. There's one. There should be 4
Is this one of
copies.
these? Is this a new photo?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
This is the same.
Yeah, hand it to Ms. Russell.
And for perspective, The transition from the dark green to the light green is my home, and my front door is adjacent to that urn.
So is this about the time, did you take these photos about the time that you're talking about in the afternoon? as
I,
things were getting
I
hot?
did, actually, after I took the video from the third floor, I ran downstairs to see what was going on, and just went outside and took photographs, because they failed miserably on a trial run.
Right. So it looks as though these small tables have been pushed together and created a larger seating area. Is that
Yes, as
correct?
happens quite often in Fells Point.
And so these people who are kind of congregating around, these were all patrons who were at the event?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you take, so there's two photos of, people outside of the wharfette, and then there's one photo of a sign. Can you describe why you took a picture of that sign?
I took a picture of the sign because, as I understand it, when you have outdoor table service, it's for dining, not for drinking and smoking. And you have to be served at those tables.
And what does the sign say, and how did you interpret? Where was the sign located?
The placard was on, actually, that is the top of one of the tables.
Okay, so this was on top of one of the outdoor tables, saying to the customer, please go inside and order your food and drinks at the bar, and presumably bring them
And
back
it
outside?
specifically says no table service.
Okay. This is a residential block, correct?
Yes, that is
Objection.
correct.
Objection, that's not a statement, I mean, that's a statement that can be proven.
I'm going to overrule the objection.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to explain to the board as the adjoining resident about why you are opposed to the outdoor tables at this location? Sorry, excuse me, I clarify my own question. She already has permission for outdoor tables, but why you're opposed to serving alcohol at the outdoor tables?
Just opposed to serving alcohol at the outdoor tables because I know the establishment does not handle the outdoor smokers very well at all. They quite often congregate in front of my home. They have two staff behind the bar. One is cooking, the other one is making drinks. They don't have the staff to monitor the outdoor smoking, which we can't call 311 because they're there for 5 minutes, they go back in, but they're very loud. So the point of my opposition for outdoor tables is that I know these will be drinking and smoking tables and not primarily for food service. They just don't have the staff to do that. And it doesn't make sense to me if they're hiring staff to do the outdoor table service, what is the point? And why are they just, they're not being good neighbors to their neighbors by having this request. It will be noisy. As was mentioned with the other establishment that has table service on Ann Street, they get 911 and 311 calls quite frequently, and actually they'll probably be in front of this board next year for renewal. They're a big problem. So that's why there is opposition. We already have a lot of noise for smokers. We don't need additional noise, consistent noise, with outdoor tables.
Okay, those are all of my questions.
Thank you. Do you have cross?
Yes, very briefly. Have these been admitted?
Yes.
I'm going to refer to them. Thank you. Mr. Martz, how are you, sir?
Very
Good to
good,
see you
Mr.
again.
Fogelman.
Yep. You took these pictures on September 25th?
26.
2015. And in these photos of the customers or people there, it does appear that these people are standing up. A woman's putting on her jacket as if they're leaving the establishment. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And now, as in your tenure as president of the Fells Point Residents Association, your group has approved dozens of outdoor table requests for restaurants. Isn't that right?
I don't know if it's dozens, but quite a few.
Certainly dozens of tables, but at least 10 to 15 different restaurants that
I
come.
might add, none were adjacent to a residential property.
Okay, and, but you would agree?
Even close.
All right, but you would agree that Penny Black, formerly John Stephen, has outdoor tables on your block, on this very same block as you live, and the Wharf Rat operates, and they are adjacent or adjoining a residential unit.
I might add, Penny Black, actually Chuck did us a favor by taking in his 2 4-tops and reducing them to 2 2-tops.
What time do you go to bed at night, generally?
11:30 midnight.
So, you know of no other place in Fells Point that pulls in their outdoor tables at 9 o'clock, even on a Friday and Saturday night, do you?
Not aware of any, no.
Okay. And so if, in fact, they pull the tables by 9 o'clock, that means no customers lingering at 9 o'clock. That means it's over at 9 o'clock, and you're still awake, right?
Right.
All right. So you're not saying that these tables are going to keep you up all night or anything like that?
It's not about keeping me up all night. It's about my quiet enjoyment of the property
Right.
until 9 o'clock.
Now, you're concerned that there will be noise, but you're more concerned that you won't be able to get anywhere with compliance efforts. Isn't that right?
Say that again?
You admit that, no, strike that. Now, you know or you're aware that the property next door to you is zoned for business, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a 100% residential block, is it?
Well, not 100%, no. Majority, yes.
All right, and you used to be more frequent a patron at Wharf Rat, isn't that right?
Yes, much more than I am now.
All right, but you and Miss Oliver Martin have had dialogue over the years,
Oh,
is that
yes,
right?
yes.
I mean, you're next door neighbors.
Right.
It's natural. So, do you know of any other establishment in Fells Point that has as few as 10 seats?
I would say there are probably a couple.
Like,
I would say Pappy's on Alisana.
and they have a giant back rear courtyard?
And they do.
Right. All right. So, and
And Pappy's is actually a restaurant.
thank you. All right, I have nothing further.
Mr. Marks,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. Yeah.
can you clarify, in September, did you make any efforts to call 311? Did you make any efforts to call the city?
On September 26th, no, because we were actually quite surprised. They sent us an invitation, I think, the day before, letting us know that they were doing outdoor table service. We declined the invitation because I'm not in support of outdoor table service. So why would I act like I'm supporting it? I was just quite surprised to see how quickly it got out of hand. And as I mentioned, to call 311, I mean, I was going out the door on my way to the office, and I took some pictures.
So, but you didn't make any efforts to reach the city to say this is a problem or this is noisy?
It was a one-day thing, so no.
And when you say out of hand, the pictures, these pictures, in your opinion, evidence the noise? Are these pictures what triggered, or the noise what triggered these pictures, rather?
The noise is what triggered the pictures. As I mentioned, I was on my 3rd floor,
Gotcha.
and I came down, and then that's when they were dispersing.
I have nothing.
How long did this noise occur?
Oh, a good while. I mean, they started getting really, really loud. It lasted for about 10 minutes.
Would you say that
By the time I came downstairs, and like I said, that's when they were dispersing.
Would you say that these pictures depict the gist of who was making the noise?
I do believe so, and I've got the video on my phone if you want to watch it.
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
And yes, and let me ask you, you haven't introduced the video yet. Do you intend to introduce it now?
You certainly can if you would like.
I would like to.
That means we'd have to keep your phone.
He's indicated that
I can email
Ms.
it to
Witt
you.
has a copy.
I don't know. It's your case. I mean, so you all decide what you want to put in. But before you do that, I have a question. How was it that you had the authority to do this test and this?
We're allowed 12 days under the liquor law. We're allowed 12 individual days to get in, to have outside seating without any of this hoopla.
I'll be happy. I'm the one who requested the permit way back when. I mean, the liquor board issued it in due course for a
Okay,
one-day
so there was a
extension
permit.
permit.
Okay,
yes.
because I don't. All right. You requested permission for a 1-day license permit to have outdoor table service.
Right.
And that was
during
for-
the Baltimore City Paper Beer Festival, I believe it was. It was a beer festival. It was the weekend or two before Fells Point Festival, so they thought it would be a perfect time to give it a try.
Okay, so you made the request. It was granted. The event was September 26th. It started at what time and ended at what time?
Started at 11. Several of the neighborhood kids came over. That's what our picture is, and we had a pizza
Yeah, I was wondering
party.
where you got the cute kids
I
for
know,
the
right?
pizza
Well,
party.
we
So
had a pizza party, and we actually that day we had 3 tables out, my partner, one of the pictures it actually shows my bartender out there monitor. The guy with the green zip. He's a bartender, so he was helping monitor. The tables show empty food, so there was food service. I'd like to clarify the table service. That sign sits on our inside tables, and what we were trying to say is come and order at the bar. We'll seat you outside. We will bring you your things. We know full well the liquor license. That's what we do inside, and that's what we were doing outside.
so the event was from 11 a.m. and it ended at what time?
Well before 9.
9 p.m.
Yeah, well before 9. I mean, it was supposed to be a trial run. Just feel things through.
Okay, so during that time, and maybe I'm all over the place, but from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., the only complaint was yours at the one that came at 3 p.m. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, and I have to say that I was on site the entire time, and I was there ready to address neighborhood concerns. Again, this was a trial run. We've been trying for years to try and work out how we're going to do this, and come to a compromise. And no one came up and addressed me personally, not even once.
Okay, so was alcohol served on September 26th?
Yeah,
At
via
the
trays,
Trust?
yes.
Okay. And I believe that the exhibit that says order your food and drinks at the bar sort of was meant to show that you weren't going to have table service.
Yeah.
But I'm just presuming that that's why we have it. But if that is in fact why you have it, you've addressed that concern by
That
saying,
won't be the sign that's outside. It will be, wait to order from your server. That's the sign we had inside. What we were trying to say with that sign, and I guess, again, it was a trial run, we could have done it better, is, hey, you can't bring your own stuff out. We will bring it to you.
okay, so will you be able to serve dogs at the?
Yes, that's what a number of people are really excited about it. A number of our patrons, we see a huge, 2004, huge place for
Yeah.
dog friendly.
Yeah. Okay. I want to turn to you. Are you done with?
Yeah.
I don't know where we are.
I thought Mr.
You did
March was
cross.
going to do the video at this point.
Well,
but
you were on cross. I interrupted.
sorry.
You were talking about doing your video. You said show the video. You're like, I don't know if we're gonna show the video. I said, well, give me your phone. Who's on first? What do we? Where are we?
I think
Get
you
us
would
back
like
on
to
track.
show the video.
Right.
I think you would like to show.
You would like to show the video. Okay.
It's short. There's actually 2, one from my 3rd floor and then one from,
All right. So I'm the yeah. Where's the popcorn? I'm the Luddite here. You want to do it, Aaron? Oh, it's gone already.
Let's see.
You'll have to turn the volume.
There are 2 of them, is that right? Or just picture? Yeah, why don't you-
the one with the shutters is interior, and then the other one is exterior.
So
Okay.
it's these 2. All right, let's try. Hold on. Let's go do a little dance.
And then there's the volume button.
Yeah. You see
Can
her?
you see? They're talking about a sailboat. Okay.
It's short.
And there's the one
Then
there.
one with the shutter is from the inside. That's my kitchen area, which we spend a lot of time in.
Your kitchen's in the front?
Yes.
Mr. March, you might have an opportunity to get another job as a PI. You're pretty good at this. Undercover.
So this really just shows us the volume. Okay,
I mean, my front door is literally right there.
right.
And was that with your window closed that you heard that sound?
From the third floor, the window was open.
Okay.
From the first floor, it was closed because I've got a vestibule, front door, vestibule. That window is my front window, which is adjacent to the vestibule.
Okay. I think that's all.
It looks like you have central air conditioning.
I do.
Okay.
But when
Not
it's
that-
nice,
that-
I like to open the window.
I was gonna, that's, yeah, not that it's apropos of anything, it's apropos of nothing, except that there will be times when you'll have your windows open.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions based on the video?
No, not based on the video. Thank
Or
you.
do you have any further questions?
Yes.
him?
Mr. March, you've lived at the property since 2001, isn't that right?
Actually, since '99.
99. Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Okay, and there's another.
Any other questions of him?
No.
No? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Joanne Mazurek.
Stand up
Oh,
close
I'm
to the
sorry,
mic.
Joanne Mazurek. I live at
And can-
804 South Ann Street, directly across the street from the Wharf
All
Rat.
right, could you spell your last name, please?
Mazurek. Joanne with one word with an E.
Okay.
I've been a
Okay.
resident there for 34 years, before Jen even came in, and I've dealt with the Wharf Rat for 34 years. And we have been compliant. I mean, we've helped her. She wanted to open for, when I first moved there, the Wharf Rat was a 6-day, 1 o'clock in the morning bar. That's it. Because of the proximity to the church and everything, they didn't allow 7 days. And with that 7-day license, now Jennifer wanted the 7-day license so she could put a new roof on her building. We understood. The building's beautiful. It's 18th century. We like the Wharf Rat. But we don't like what's happening now. So we agreed to let her go with 7-day license, which made them 2 o'clock in the morning. So now we're going from all day Sunday they're open, and every night till 2 a.m. So that's a longer day. We've given them another whole day and an extra hour each night. So she now has the 7-day, 2 o'clock in the morning license. I live across the street. When the Wharf Rat door opens and everybody comes out to smoke their cigarettes, they're right in my house. I mean, I'm right there. All the noise just comes. I probably hear more than David because I'm across the street and noise bounces off the buildings, and that's what usually happens. So I'm not pleased with this idea of outdoor seating. It's a small space, as you can see. He doesn't see as much as I do. I see people on his steps all the time smoking, using their cell phone, trying to get out of the rain, to come outside and smoke. And I understand that's the law, and you're allowed. That's good for the people that are in the bar. But I was an innkeeper for 25 years on Ann Street. Ann Street Bed and Breakfast. I never considered the Wharf Rat a restaurant. It's a pub. You can get a beer and a pizza. You go in there and you have to go to the bar and ask for what you want, sit down or find yourself a place to sit with your beer and wait for your food to come out. And that's not my idea of a restaurant. And they also keep making reference to these other 2 bars on the block. I live in the 800 block of Ann Street. Those 2 bars are on Thames Street as their formal address. They are on the main corridor of Thames Street. Ann Street dead ends into the water. You go left or right on Thames, and there's a bar on each corner with outside seating. Yes, there are. But they are more like a commercial strip, like Broadway corridor. We have this little corner. This Wharf Rat is in a small space that's not a very wide sidewalk. I mean, you have to negotiate between the tree well and their ramp for their handicap business. It's hard to get across. I mean, it's not real easy to walk in front. So imagine if they have these tables and people sitting and gathering like you see there, that it's going to be a little bit intrusive to people passing by. And the reason no one called to complain about that one day, because it was a trial run, and we all kept saying, oh, they're going to hang themselves, because look at them over there. But, and I want to ask, too, if you can do this 12 times a year, why have you only ever done it once? I mean, well, if it's such a great idea and you make money, why don't you do it 12 times, once a month or something? They have not done that. This was and they sent us an invitation, but I've been through this before with the Wharf Rat. Please come to a party, come in, they take pictures of you, then they have something going on and they flash the pictures before the powers that be and say, look, everybody like it, but it's not. We like we live in a neighborhood with bars. I'm not an old curmudgeon. I understand all that. But this is really close to pretty much residential right here. The Wharf Rat's the only business on the 800 block of Ann Street. There's the Preservation Society with the oldest home in Baltimore there. There's a couple, people have 2 houses, we have new residents. We have 5 little children under the age of 10 in that block. So we have, it's a community. We have seniors, and this would just be very intrusive. And she's saying she's been such a great neighbor and everything. Well, I think if she was really concerned about the neighbors, she wouldn't be asking us for this. We have fought this. Last time we had dozens of people here, but people work and they're on vacations, and I think you might have quite a few letters and emails and stuff from our neighbors, but it's hard to keep giving up your time and doing this. And I think if they really wanted to be good neighbors, they wouldn't be asking us to do this. They just wouldn't be. We have the trash every day pick up right in front of the bar on Ann Street. And they do clean. They have I'm friendly with all the cleaner people. I encourage them, from the bar. But I'm not going to take those things away from them. But we just think this is overkill. Those people stand outside and smoke cigarettes till 2 o'clock in the morning. And I don't want to spend my life looking out to say, oh, look, he's got a beer and he's smoking, but there's no food. I mean, that's not our department to police these people. I just don't think that there's enough room to have, it's just not, believe me, it's not a good spot to have outdoor seating. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's too residential. Yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Can you talk about what you saw on that September day when they did the trial run?
People outside, and you keep making reference to children in bars. When I was growing up, children weren't allowed in bars. I mean, we were not. I thought that was the law that kids can't be in bars, but maybe I don't know everything. But I saw people out there. Yes, it was a sunny, pretty day, and we were watching to see how popular. I was actually watching to see if any of our neighbors who got these invitations actually went over there and sat down. I only saw one, but. And he's a bar owner, so they all kind of stick together. The bar owners, they don't go against each other. But I just.
Was it noisy?
It was very noisy. Okay. Yes. But I don't mind noise during the day. I mean, it's a neighborhood with people. I understand that, but I can't see them policing this till 2 o'clock, till late at night. Even if they say taking in the table, how much drudgery would that be? These are heavy metal tables. It seems to look like to me, and they're talking about schlepping them inside every night. What do you do if somebody's sitting there and just got their food at 20 minutes to 9? You say, hurry up and eat, because I got to take this table in the bar. It just doesn't seem like it's going to flow real good, and we're going to look out there at 9:30 and see people eating and say, hey, you got to get it, it doesn't make sense to me. And she's talking about this making more money for the business. If she has to hire a server and put up cameras, and this sounds like a big investment to me for 5 little tables. Something's missing to me here, and we don't want it.
So I want to tell you a funny story, funny to me. Last year, while I was still, I was no longer on the liquor board, and my husband and I got this great idea that we would take our granddaughter to Charles Village Pub because they have really good hamburgers, and she loves hamburger. And it wasn't until we got in there that I said, maybe this wasn't such a great idea because she's only 9, and she's obviously we can't, and we don't really drink, and we certainly didn't drink that night. It just didn't seem like a good idea. But I thought, all right, we're here. We'll finish this, and we just won't do this again. Halfway through our meal, in comes people that I know are the police department liquor inspectors. I freaked out. I thought that maybe somebody had called and said, oh, there's a woman in here with a little child, and you need to come get them out of here. We slumped down in our seats because we were so afraid they were going to haul us out. So in terms of kids in bars, yeah, it happens, but maybe it's not such a great idea. We never went back. All right, Cross.
All right, Stephen.
Thank you. And Ms. Mazurek, you and I know each other well, don't we?
Yes.
All right. And you, my goodness, I won't even get into it all. But now you might have misspoken because you said you gave them a chance a few years ago when they got their 7-day license. But you were actually opposed to them getting that 7-day license, right?
I opposed
All right.
everything, but I could understand her point, and we didn't take it further.
Yeah.
And we wished them luck, and they've been, as my husband would say if he's here, that we give them that chance, and they put a beautiful roof on the building, so I understood all that. to be competitive, but that Wharf Rat Bar is the cutest little bar in all of Fells Point. It is beautiful. It looks like something out of England. And we all think, you know, some of the people that aren't here today, but we've spoken and said, why don't they just capitalize on that interior? Why do they have to be outside in the sun, on the sidewalk with the, you know, it doesn't seem that their business is going to go down the toilet if they don't get these 5 tables.
All right, well, let's go back to these tables. Now, you said nobody else on the street has outdoor, on that block has outdoor tables, didn't you?
I said, if you let me, I said that those other 2 bars are legally on Thames Street. Yes, they do both have tables in the back because they're both
On Ann Street.
corners, on Ann Street. Yes, they do.
In fact, the Point in Fells, which is a licensed establishment at the corner of South Ann and Thames Street, has more seats on Ann Street right next to your house than has more than 10 seats. Isn't that right? They've got at least 4
Oh,
tops
yeah, and
there.
we're fighting them constantly. I have a folder that high, but we can't get anything done down there because nobody's enforcing the MOUs.
And generally, that's your concern here, isn't it? Which is that you're worried that you've seen other places where you haven't been happy with the way they run the outdoor tables, and you haven't been able to get anywhere with getting that enforced, and you're worried about that here.
But I don't live across the street from them, and one of my good friends doesn't live next door to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
All right, and you were talking about it's too narrow to get through,
to
but
me it's a little dicey.
all right, but that was already determined by zoning and planning,
But
right?
zoning sort of pushed the ball to the liquor board.
And in fact, I don't know about that. In fact, the side street there is is more narrow than Ann Street. Isn't that right? I think it's Lancaster Street.
Lancaster Street.
Right. And in fact, so you are aware that they originally wanted to put the tables on Lancaster Street to have less dealers.
Lancaster's a residential street too. I don't see where she's getting to be so. I mean, there's people that there's a establishment on the cross from them on Lancaster Street that closes a beauty salon, but behind that to the end of the street, there's all residents. There's people right behind David's house that are residents. So it's not saying that
Right.
she's being kind to us to tell the smokers, and they do not go around the corner. Those smokers hang right where this boy is and over here by all this. Believe me. And some woman fell here trying to get through one time and broke her arm because of the. It's just awkward. Believe me, it is. And people
Right.
aren't going to sit tight up against a wall and, you know, they pull out, they move out, they have a good.
All right, and you're not aware of any other restaurant in Fells Point that pulls their outdoor tables in at 9 o'clock.
Haven't really checked it, but I don't think they. No, most of them leave them outside.
And most of them are going till 11 o'clock at night, isn't that right?
Oh, I don't know. Steve,
And
I'm
some
not
much
in.
later, right?
Yeah. But
Okay.
the ones on my end of my block, the ones that are on Thames and creep up Ann Street, yes, they do sit out late. But they are restaurants.
But Point in Fells, you've seen customers of those outdoor tables on your very same block at midnight or better, isn't that right?
Beer and carrying on, no food.
No
inside.
food, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any redirect?
No. That's all the oral testimony, and I wanted to make sure that these letters from neighbors were also submitted. There's a letter from each of these people who's already testified, but there's several others. Make sure that those are entered into the record. There are
Oh,
This one right here.
oh, okay.
several from individuals and then one from the organization at the end.
And if I may say, my appearance in this case has been known, I've been involved since September with the zoning element, filed this application, I believe, around March 1st with the liquor board. I don't know how long Ms. Witt's been in the case, but my appearance has been posted. I don't know why I get these things last minute when, as I say, I've been known as counsel of record on this matter. Some of these emails and letters are from March, things like that. I would think that I would have some access to those before today.
I think they were submitted for the record in the time that's provided for in the rules, 48 hours ahead of time, I believe.
Right,
so.
but what I'm saying is they weren't submitted, I certainly didn't get CC'd on anything.
Yeah.
This was back in March. that These were addressed.
So as a general rule, I think it's better to give more information to opposing counsel than less, but our rules do have certain time limits by which information should be shared. And if you say that you did that within that time, that's not an issue for us, but just as a general rule, I think it's better to give it when you get it, and then you've got it and it's done. but that's not for me.
Say something?
Ask your attorney.
Just, that I submitted them to Michelle.
Okay, well, Mr. Martz says that he submitted them back. I think this has been postponed several times, and it was originally scheduled under the previous administration, and so that many of them have been in the record for at least a couple months.
In fact, this was scheduled, and we agreed to a postponement for the benefit of the community. This was scheduled before the prior board, and we gave up an opportunity to have this case heard in March. So we've tried to work with the community. We met with the community on both sides. These letters, I mean, again, I've been involved through zoning, the entire level of this, and all of these are just new to me today.
Right, and the zoning hearing was January 12th.
Right.
So some of these predate the zoning hearing. So,
Now, most of them are March 28th. One of them is January 10th, and that was probably, in fact, that is a letter to Mr. Tanner. The rest of these
Right.
are all dated after the zoning hearing, to the best I can
okay.
tell. And as late as June 4th and June 6th this month, and 2 days ago.
So I wanted to conclude with a closing statement, if that is okay.
okay. Any other
Done with.
questions for any of the witnesses at all? No? Okay.
Okay. I wanted to direct the board's attention back to 2B, Section 10202A, 2, subsections 1 and 2, because I think when you actually read the text of the law, we're asking that the board deny the alcohol service at the outdoor tables. So, you know, the organization understands that the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals has given permission for outdoor tables, and certainly people can feel free to eat food at those outdoor tables. We are opposing the alcohol at the outdoor tables. And so in order, so there's two sections, two subsections that I talked about. So the board has to consider the public need and desire for the license. And then I'll skip down to number 4, because those are kind of the two most important under the first subsection: public need and desire, and then impact on general health, safety, and welfare of the community, including issues relating to crime, traffic conditions, parking, or convenience. And I think we've heard a lot today about, public desire, certainly. I'm not sure we've heard anything about public need for alcohol at outdoor tables. And then we've heard a lot from the community as well about impact on general health, safety, and welfare, including especially issues relating to convenience. So under subsection 2, which I think is really important as well and often gets overlooked, it says the application shall be disapproved if the board determines that, and then I'll focus on numbers 1 and 5. So if the board determines that the granting of the license, in this case the extension of the license, not the license itself, if the board determines that the granting of the extension is not necessary for the accommodation of the public, then the application shall be disapproved. I don't see any reason from what has been presented here today, and neither does the community, that the granting of the extension is necessary for the accommodation of the public. Like we heard today, this business has been around for many, many years without alcohol service at outdoor tables. What is the necessity in serving alcohol at these outdoor tables? I think that the board will have to determine that it is necessary for the accommodation of the public in order to grant the extension. Skipping down to number 5, the board will also have to determine that if the extension is granted, it will not unduly disturb the peace of the residents of the neighborhood in which the place of business is to be located. And what we have here today is residents who live very close by, who have said that this extension will unduly disturb the peace of their neighborhood. And, you know, we've heard from other individuals, mostly the people who signed the petitions were patrons, who of course would like to sit outside in the sunshine. That's a nice thing to do. But the board will have to determine that the disturbance to the residents is not undue. So basically, the disturbance to the residents is reasonable in order to approve the extension of this license. And I don't see how the board can do that under the information that's been provided. I think that we don't usually have this situation where the licensee has had a trial run before. Normally, we're just kind of projecting into the future about what might happen when there's alcohol at outdoor tables. But in this case, we actually know what happened when there was alcohol for one day at the specific outdoor tables. And it, according to the testimony from the residents, was a disturbance. It was an undue disturbance to their quiet enjoyment of their property. The licensee said that she was there and that she was personally, bringing food to tables and that she was watching what was going on, and that she said that the tables won't be pushed together. They were pushed together on that day. We have a photo of that. She said that people won't be loud. Mr. Martz testified that people were loud and disturbing to him in his private residence. And so again, I don't believe that the board can hold that the application is necessary for accommodation of the public and that it will not unduly disturb the peace of the residents. I would like to just ask the board to err on the side of caution when thinking about these applications, because once these permissions are given, they can't be taken back. I've never seen them taken back. It might be hypothetically possible. Also, I would just like to point out that a no for the extension at this time is not a no forever. Applicants can reapply after 6 months if their application has been turned down. So perhaps the community association and the owner can get together and talk about maybe a different plan that would address some of their issues, and that she could reapply at that time, perhaps with an MOU or something to address those issues. So to say no at this time is not to say no forever. And that's basically all that I would like to bring up. I think that the information that's been presented today, the residents have really testified about the impact that it has already had on their community, and that if the board grants this extension, there will be an undue impact on the community that really will be difficult to address going forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me first, once again, remind the board what evidence, what testimony, what evidence is in the record here today. It's uncontroverted that there was a unanimous decision by the BMZA on January 12th, 2016 to grant these outdoor tables. So this is a business. It's been a tavern for over 200 years, same ownership for 29 years. In those 29 years, tables have mushroomed throughout Fells Point. Everyone has outdoor tables now. In order to remain economically competitive, my client has to have outdoor tables. There are no better methods of low-tech advertising than people walking by and seeing the food that people are eating, the smells. There is no dispute based on zoning's decision that this is a fully operating restaurant, a restaurant that deserves the same amenities that just visualize down Thames Street, visualize on Ann Street, visualize these streets with restaurants in Fells Point. They all have tables. Now, Mrs. Oliver Martin has an issue here. She wants to put outdoor tables next door to the person who happens to be the president of the Residents Association. That is a difficult consideration, and I am friendly with both of them, and I understand that that's causing some problems. So in that regard, Ms. Martin scaled down her outdoor table request to the smallest request that I believe's ever come forward to the Fells Point Residents Association. Just 5 little two-tops, but most importantly, and I think this is what sets this request apart from every other request that this board has ever heard, and that is that all tables are removed by 9 p.m. each and every night, 7 nights a week. I don't know of another place in the city that has that restriction. So strict. And that means, I've seen where you say last call for service at 9 o'clock, things like that. Tables have to be taken in by 10 on weeknights, 11 on weeknights and 11 on weekends. I don't know. I challenge you to find any other place that has such a strict restriction on time. And that was directly in order to ameliorate the possibility of disturbing the neighborhood. And let me move into the legal arguments that counsel has made. First of all, we're talking about public need and desire. And the law, the word public is very different than the word residence, which appears all over Article 2B. While Ms. Witt indicates that you have to deny the application if it will unduly disturb the residents, public need and desire, very generally, speaks to a very wide audience. It speaks to customers. It speaks to people who live 10 miles away, who drive in to come to their favorite restaurant. It speaks to me, who lives in Canton and works in Fells Point. So you've got a petition with a couple hundred signatures in favor of this request. And let me just say that I think public desire and need for this are further proven by the fact that there are so many outdoor tables in the Fells Point neighborhood. The public wants outdoor dining, and I don't think anybody here would suggest otherwise. This is what people want, and they haven't come up with this idea first and said, wouldn't it be great to put some outdoor tables up? They've watched their competitors put outdoor tables out for over a decade with incredible results as far as bringing customers in to dine, and they want to do the same thing. Given their long history, I think that they more than deserve it. So I think we've got public need and desire based on the petition and based on the absolute explosion of outdoor tables, and it's clear that the public wants this. It doesn't talk about residents in immediate vicinity, but it does when it comes down to this unduly disturbed. So it's clear the legislature there realized that there could be some disturbance from any business. That's why they use the term unduly disturbed, because a slight disturbance is always possible in a city with mixed business and residential zoning designations right next door to each other. So the question is, will this unduly disturb? And that's the reason I wanted you to see that video, or I suggested to see the video, because I saw it back at zoning in January as well as today. And all I heard were some middle-aged people talking about their sailboats, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I really didn't see anything noxious about the voices or the behavior. The photos that were taken show a woman putting her jacket on. I didn't, and in fact, I stopped by there. I'm not going to testify, but I was through there that day. Nothing you have before you shows that there was any significant disturbance on September 26, 2015. Was it perfect? No. Have they put tables out since then? No, because they had a zoning hearing. They had applied for zoning by then, and this was just a trial run so we could take pictures and go to zoning. They haven't done it yet. But let's remember, they have filed this application for zoning way back in September. They filed this application in March for this hearing that's now in June. So if you do deny them today, they're going to lose their use that's been unanimously granted by zoning if they don't get the outdoor tables with the alcohol. They're more interested in having that. You've got to determine, and the code specifically mentions, including crime, traffic, convenience. I didn't hear anything about crime going up as a result of outdoor tables. In fact, I think we can all infer the opposite, that more eyes on the street prevent street crime. With respect to traffic, it's Fells Point. I don't really see it as I know the parking on that street. I park on that street. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. Weekends, the good news is it's terrible at 9 o'clock, and she's closed down her outdoor tables there anyway. So when the parking is worse in Fells Point, she won't even have the tables up. So that's not a factor. And then convenience, and that takes me back to my public need and desire. It's clear that the public enjoys the convenience of dining outdoors. So I would say that this is something that is given. It's something the public wants. It's convenient to the public. There's a need and desire for outdoor tables. the testimony and the letters that have come in, if you'll notice, they talk about others. They talk about other situations that are not directly analogous. They talk about other licensees, and other licensees have abused outdoor tables in Fells Point, which is why zoning now clearly is not interested in how many tables you have, but mostly how many seats you have, because many boards have granted, say, we'll give you 4 outdoor tables. And they come in and the plans say they're 2 tops, and then they start like strapping them on, like more and more tables till they become 10 tops, and they've had to fight with zoning for that. And I understand that. They're concerned about people drinking, leaving the tables. And this is based on real examples from other bars. But what the problem is there's a concern that they won't be that the rules won't be enforced. But that's not something that you can consider. I mean, you have to decide whether or not they're entitled, after 29 years in business, like all the other bars in Fells Point, to have the smallest outdoor table footprint with the smallest number of hours and ending hours. And I would say that they've met their burden in that regard. There's no undue disturbance that's been testified to. We've talked about smoking. The Indoor Smoking Act, as you know, brought the smokers outside. They have 2 corners. They have two streets, basically, and then done their best to choose the street with a business across the street to send their smokers instead of out front. There was no testimony controverting my client's contention that she closes the door at 9 o'clock every night, because she does. She's been extremely vigilant about keeping noise down at the bar. She simply wants to have the same playing field as the other licensees within this neighborhood and within this very block. Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, do you want me to start, or?
I can start if you
All
want me
right,
to.
well, Commissioner Jones. Name that tune.
I heard a lot. I look at these pictures. I'm going to start from the pictures. And this picture somewhat confirms that the people who stand around are not allowed to drink. I see a almost empty, a half mug of beer on the table. If I could see one of those beers captured in the hands of one of those individuals who are standing, that would somewhat help me sway towards the other way. However, they're on the table. And the people are standing around as if they're getting ready to leave. I listened to the video. And the video, this is a business environment. It's and you have a drink or so, and you might get talkative. Drinking doesn't necessarily make you loud, but it might stimulate a conversation. And from what I heard, sir, on your video, it just sounded like noise of someone interacting between individuals. I didn't hear any loud elevation of the voice, just talking. And I'm not a drinker, so I don't like the noise either. But I just couldn't confirm that they were being disruptive. And I'm looking at the zoning board here, and it looks like they had an extensive conversation about this situation, the restaurant and the table services. And I'm quite sure all these points that we are addressing today probably was addressed back during that time. The outdoor tables in the area in which they are placed, they have more than 10 feet of sidewalk. Most places fight for 6 feet of sidewalk. So there's more than ample space for people to travel up and down the sidewalk. And the picture that you took confirms that. I'm looking at it. So you can see where there's the table and there's plenty of walk space. I usually err towards the community because that's my background. But when someone put forth a good application, and I can't put nothing in my hand. I heard what you said about the noise. If I can't, and I do believe those smokers do sit on your steps or in front of your place, and someone needs to deal with that because that's only your right. The customers are yours, and they shouldn't be in front of Mr. Mark's place. And I think he's allowed that right to be able to walk in and out of his house and not smell the direct smoke coming in his nose. I get that enough downtown in a business location when I walk in and out my place of business. I don't like it, and I can imagine you don't like it either. So there is some compensation, something that needs to be done here. You guys knew about this case for months, but no one made the telephone call and said, let's get an MOU together. You had time to get together and plan and do what you might think you need to do with this case. I mean, some other little issues too, but I'm not going to talk too long because I think we kind of like talk about this case for a long time already. I don't have enough information on my plate to say that I can deny this, so I do approve this outdoor seating.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The sole issue we're addressing here is not outdoor seating, because that's already granted. And in fact, people can still congregate, as Commissioner Jones said, with outdoor seating. The issue here is alcohol on outdoor seating. And
Excuse me. Let me correct one statement. I agree that they should have outdoor alcohol service.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That's an important clarification.
yes,
Thank
yes,
you for making it.
Whenever I can help you, Commissioner.
I don't know why they say we're such a drama-filled board.
So, as I was saying, the sole issue here is whether alcohol can be served at those outdoor seating. And it's not clear to me, based on the evidence or the testimony so far, that this establishment will be any different from any other, which doesn't seem to have many issues that I'm aware of yet. Now, that could come up down the road. In addition, based upon the BMZA opinion, there are a number of safeguards in place with respect to outdoor seating that I'm comfortable with. And in fact, I'd go as far as saying that those safeguards provide the community a number of outlets should there be issues. Now, Mr. Martz, I know you may not agree with that, but let me explain to you why I believe that. I believe that because not only will you have the avenue of liquor license inspectors, but you also have under Rule 3.08 the ability for our liquor license inspectors to also work with housing and community development inspectors should there be issues. So essentially they're dual, as I understand it under the rule. You can contact the liquor license inspectors to address any issues related to this establishment relating to the BMZA housing and community development issues. So I think there are some safeguards in place. I do believe that there is a public need and desire with respect to the statute specifically. I think there's a public need and desire based upon the fact that there are other establishments, there's demand, and on September 26th there was a crowd. Maybe it was too big, but there was a crowd there. I don't believe that this will have an impact on any other establishments. And I think the September 26th, although I understand that was a specific date for a specific reason, I don't believe that this will have a negative impact. I do think there's a commonality here. There clearly is a number of establishments with outdoor seating, and this is yet another one of them. And I do agree with Ms. Martin that at least in evidence, that they believe that this is an opportunity to keep making money, to keep investing in the establishment, to keep investing in the community. So I do think that this is another outlet for that purpose. And again, in terms of the impact on the general health, welfare, safety, again, I think there are safeguards in place. I don't see that being an impact currently. I recognize the testimony provided by the community, but if it becomes an issue, there are outlets to address it. But at this point, I don't see that as an issue in contrast to any of the other establishments so far. So for those reasons, I too grant adding outdoor table service liquor to outdoor table service.
So having heard everything, I join with my fellow commissioners in approving the request to add outdoor table service, and here's why. For a lot of the reasons already stated, but I really focused on, I think the petition's certainly impressive. There seems to be a desire, a public need and desire for this. the verbal request when you're going to bring the tables. That I think you've met that test. The real focus for me was on whether or not there was undue disturbance of the peace for the residents. And I want you to know that it matters very, very much to me, your testimony. And I heard you and I understand, having seen the video and the photographs and just bringing into this my own personal reaction to things like this, I get it and I understand the potential for the disturbance. But I asked you, when did the event start on the 26th and when did it end? Because I wanted to know what was the time span. And within that time span, what was the real issue? Where was the disturbance? So basically there was a 10-hour event from 11 a.m. to ended around 9 p.m. And there were about 10 minutes where you felt that there was such a disturbance that you had to actually, leave your home and take pictures. And that occurred around 3 p.m. The event continued for maybe 5 or 6 hours further without issue. And so I think that just that one example says to me that there was not undue disturbance. There was some disturbance, but it wasn't so overwhelming. So I very much considered that. At the same time, you're doing something that you have acknowledged it's a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege. And you have to manage that privilege very, very, very carefully. And I guess here I'm kind of getting a little lectury. This is when my granddaughter stops listening, so I hope that you won't do that. You'll continue listening. It's a privilege, and it's you are so close to residences. He has every right to the quiet enjoyment of his home. If that doesn't happen, he's going to bring you back here, and we're going to hear it. And we're going to want to know, really, what is the level of the disturbance now? It wasn't so, I don't think it was that great on September 26th. But going forward, if it is, you'll be back, and we'll be hearing it, and we'll be having to make, some tough decisions. In terms of the need, it clearly is a business enhancement. It's one that I believe makes for a more livable, enjoyable city, but I have never believed, and I have said it many times before, I do not believe that businesses advance at the cost to the residents. So it hasn't been such a great cost to the residents yet. You can't let that happen. You've got to manage it. You've got to manage it very, very well, and you have to keep all the promises that you made today and the promises that you made before the BMZA. And I suspect that I would expect there to be healthy discussion back and forth should problems arise. Otherwise, again, for the third time, you'll be back. So for all those reasons, I think that they've established the need, they've met the test, that it's not unduly burdensome. And so for those reasons, I join my fellow commissioners in approving the request for outdoor table service of alcohol.
Thank you.
We've got one more case.
We have another case?
Yeah, we got,
Yes, Madam Chair. One more case on the
Oh.
10 a.m. docket.
Okay.
do you want to take a short break? What's,
So, can I just ask a question?
sure, we're off the record?
He wanted to know if we could put the restrictions in the resolutions on the outdoor table.
Yes, absolutely. So we're back on the record, and I sort of presumed that. Absolutely.
Let's make that clear.
That needs to be made clear. You almost made a clean getaway. The restrictions that were placed on the outdoor table service will become and are part of the license that will be issued, or that is approved today by the Board of Liquor License Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Yep,
Good to
thank
see
you for that.
Excuse me, the letters, they were accepted into the record.
Oh, yes, and the letters were accepted into the record.
I know we went back and forth about that.
Yeah, they're accepted, yeah.
We got a transfer, that's easy, okay.
Okay. Ready, Mr. Court Reporter? All set? Okay.
Call the case of Aaron Roach, 398 LLC, trading as Long John's, 398 West 29th Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. All interested parties, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the applicant. This is a application for a transfer of an existing license. It's been at this location for a long time. Mr. Kratz, who's the owner there, is getting up in his 80s. He wants to retire and move on. The present applicant has made application for the transfer of the license. She has had a long time experience in the alcoholic beverage business, having worked at Swallow at the Hollow for a period of 5 or 6 years, having worked also at the Crush restaurant, Zen West restaurant. So she's been in the business for a great number of years. They'll make no changes in the way the operation is being conducted. There'll be no structural changes. She has, in fact, and I'll submit, has an alcohol awareness certificate. In addition thereto, she has had her fingerprints taken, her criminal background check. That she will have the same employees, about the same amount of employees he has now, which is somewhere between 6 and 8 full and part-time employees. She will, at least initially, be operating from 11 a.m. To 2 a.m. She will, in addition to what's there, what's not there now, well, she will add security cameras, lighting on the outside, make the security available to the police department with a 7-day loop. So there's anything would happen to transfer in the area. They have met with the Remington Association, talked with them, as she's talked with them about it. They are enthused that fresh ownership coming there. Not that there's anything wrong with Mr. Kratz, has been there for 83 years, but this will be a welcome addition to the area. That the public need and accommodation for the license is the fact that it's been there for well over 40-something years. The number and location of existing licenses has not had an effect on those licensees. The commonality of the or the uniqueness of services is that it's just a resident. It's a for the community in the area, and so this place has not had any impact on the general health, safety, and welfare of the community, and there's none anticipated with regard to crime, traffic, or other conditions, and that in this particular instance there, she will be able to go in, and any changes that will be made would be mainly superficial, no structural changes.
Okay. Was she sworn?
Yes.
She was, okay. Do we have anyone in support or opposed?
No, not in support or opposed, but they did meet with the Remington Association.
Okay. So, Ms. Roach, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your
Sure.
background and experience?
I was originally born in Atlanta, Georgia. I've lived half my life in Atlanta, Georgia, and Baltimore. I started in the industry in high school when I went to Delaney High School. Continued my industry in Savannah, Georgia, where I also participated in bar management, hosting, serving, waiting tables, kitchen as well. And then I returned back to Baltimore, where I've continued that at Crush, that was located in Belvedere Square, no longer in existence, where Shoe Fly is now. Also Zen West, and currently Swallow at the Hollow.
And Shoe Fly's gone as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So
That building doesn't have much luck, apparently.
no, it should have stayed as a shoe store. Is that? Never mind.
No,
Off the record.
the old slide was still there too when I was there.
Yeah. So and then you were at the when did you leave the Hollow?
I'm still currently there.
So did they move? Did they move across the street?
No,
or
Swallow at the Hollow is still located at the corner of Northern
Still on
Parkway,
York
York
Road?
Road. Yep.
Okay.
Thing is across the street.
And Zen is around the corner.
Zen is right around the corner across the street.
So during the time that you've been working in the business, have you ever had any violations, any complaints
No, I have not.
against you personally?
Nope.
Okay. And Mr. Kadinsky stated that that the plan is to continue, I guess, is it Long John's pretty much as it is? Is that the case?
Yes, yes, definitely. I would definitely want to keep it the neighborhood tavern that it is, with making the minor outside changes that we need to make as far as the lighting is concerned, security cameras, maybe a nice new awning, some flower pots, but I definitely want to keep it that neighborhood vibe.
Okay. How many employees?
6 to 8.
And is it the plan to keep that same number of employees?
Yes.
Are there any other employees that would be serving or that have
I'll make
the
sure that they
alcohol
all have it.
awareness?
Yes, definitely. I'll make sure that they all have the proper alcohol awareness certifications and experience as well.
Now, is this license currently in use?
Yes.
Is the restaurant or bar is open?
Yes.
And has there been any period of closure that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
So it looked like you had the criminal background check was just done earlier this month, like
Yes,
like days
recently,
ago.
yes.
Have we gotten anything back from that?
I just had it done the other day, so no.
So not yet. Okay. All right. All right, those are all the questions that I have.
I have nothing further.
Nothing.
It's a continuing operation. It's been here for a long time. And in fact, just as a side, I know everyone wants to go to lunch, but I did sit there with Mr. Crouch and we reminisced over 30, 40 years when I used to know him from years ago. It's time to move on, he said. Long John's going to leave the building.
Okay.
Mr. Kaninsky, did you also do Mr. Crouch's license back in 1930?
I think we just got electricity then. We did it by candlelight.
Just
Paul
curious.
Revere came through and he said,
Please don't start him.
Hey, turn them off. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think based on everything that's been presented, the real issue for us on an application to transfer ownership is the character of the transferee. And we've not been provided anything that suggests that you're of a character that should not have a license. And so therefore, given, and in fact, the evidence has been that you are qualified, not always is it the case that we get a transferee who actually has good, long years of experience in the business. You do. For that reason, I would support the application to transfer to you.
I do also. I concur.
I concur, and as well, based upon the testimony that it's been around for a number of years, it's survived, no violations, it's in business actively, there's a public need and desire, it's existing amongst other licensees, and there's commonality, uniqueness as well in the community, and there's been no impact on the general welfare.
Okay. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's all good, huh?
All right. We will stand adjourned until 1 p.m.
The board is in recess until 1 p.m.
sorry, you're going to start at 1 o'clock?
We're
We
gonna
only have
start-
one case, right?
We have two cases.
Well, one
It's, it's
Oh,
one
oh,
We only have
did
one
I
case
miss
at 1
that?
o'clock.
Yes.
It's on your revised
That's
docket.
fine.
At least it should be.
Are you here now?
Is you sure we're?
Well, the people aren't here.
Oh,
So I just want to, and I don't think it'll be long.
oh, there was a new
It won't be
docket.
drama filled.
Jano Ethiopian Restaurant and Lounge LLC, trading as Jano Ethiopia, 34 South Utah, was scheduled for the 1 o'clock docket today. That matter has been postponed, and all parties will be notified as to the new date and time.
Okay. Thank you. So we just got one matter that, if you would go ahead and call that one matter.
Joginda Shamra and Joginda Singh, 2300 West Baltimore Street LLC, trading as Club 2300, 2300 West Baltimore Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Here for violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety, on March the 10th, 2016. All interested parties, please come forward and raise your right hand.
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky, 19 East Fayette Street, representing the licensee.
All right. We're here on a violation of Rule 3.08A, sanitation and safety. Violation occurred on March 10, 2016. Why don't we hear first from the liquor board inspector as to what the violation is, and then we'll have the licensee respond?
Yes, on March 10th, 2016, at approximately 4:45 p.m., I, Inspector Clark, conducted an investigation into the establishment based on a 311 complaint that was received at the establishment. Upon arrival at the location, I, Inspector Clark, noticed excess trash in the back of the establishment. I also took photos of the trash, and while at the location, verified that 311 complaint was unfounded. However, I did inform the licensee I would be issuing a violation to the establishment, as this was the second observation of trash that was at this location in less than a month. The first time I gave a verbal warning on February the 3rd, 2016.
And I should have asked you just to state your full name for the record even before you began.
Okay, Inspector Darrell Clark.
All right. Why don't we proceed? Let me ask you a few questions, and then we'll hand it over to you for questions. Does that sound okay?
That's fine.
All right, procedurally. You were called for a 311 complaint. What was the nature of the complaint that you were called to the location for?
The first complaint was for sanitation and trash on February the 3rd. The second one that we're talking about here was for underage minors purchasing cigarettes.
All right, you said that was unfounded.
Unfounded.
And what did you do to determine that complaint was unfounded?
I stayed at the establishment for probably about half hour, 45 minutes to observe the person that was at the register, and noticed that he was carding for the purchase of cigarettes and alcohol.
Okay. And then while you were there, were you the person that had responded on February 3, 2016?
Yes, as
Right.
well.
And I just didn't see anything in my file regarding the February 3, 2016
Oh, okay.
incident. Wait, maybe this.
Was that?
No. But you were the person, you were there on February 3, 2016, and you had found some issues, but didn't cite. Is that correct?
Yeah, I gave him a verbal warning.
Gave him a verbal warning.
Yes.
All right. And then you're called back on March 10 for underage drinking. That was unfounded.
I think it was cigarettes.
Underage sale of tobacco?
Tobacco
Okay,
products.
underage tobacco sales. All right, and that was unfounded.
Yes.
But then what caused you to search or take a look
There I usually
elsewhere?
do, yes. Upon a 311 inspection, I normally do a routine inspection as well as a compliance as well to make sure that the existing problem was not going to still be a problem at that time.
Okay, so it's your pattern and practice. If you're called, you'll do just a general inspection.
Inspection,
While you're
general area, yes.
Okay. And that's what caused you to find the trash that was then the subject of the citation?
Of the alley. That was another violation at that point for the sanitation because I gave a verbal warning prior.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Now, basically, the trash that you saw was not on a licensed premises, correct?
It was. I took pictures of it.
All right,
Yes.
so it was inside the place. Show me where the trash is inside the place.
This was the trash that's outside.
That's not the licensed premises, is it?
Yes.
Isn't that the alley of the city of Baltimore?
Yes, but the trash is on the side of their location in the purple building here, which is there.
This trash that you're pointing to, isn't this alley belong to the city of Baltimore?
Yes.
Okay. And it's not part of the licensed establishment, correct?
It is not,
Okay.
but it is a part, the trash is, as you can see, is laying up on the side of their wall. So that, in actuality, the trash is on the wall of the establishment.
All right, and it's their trash?
Well, we don't know whose trash it is
All
now.
right, you have pictures of it. Do you see anything there that shows that there are any whiskey bottles or any beer bottles? And there are baby diapers there? And this was your exhibit, sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah. Aren't there baby products? It looks like a Gerber baby is there,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right, and then in fact, there's trash all up and down that alleyway. Okay. I will submit these. I don't know if you got little ones or big ones.
I think we have both.
These are nice ones. Oh, there you go. Well, you have,
What do you want to submit these as exhibit? It's your case.
yeah.
So, okay.
Now, isn't it fair to say that they do have a dumpster? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
With waste management? And that dumpster is on the side of the building?
Yeah.
How if I show
which-
you a picture?
yes,
I'm not
that
trying
would
to
be
say it
great.
back.
Yes.
I mean, would that be the picture of the dumpster on the side of the building?
It is.
And their building's purple, so you would
Yes,
know.
sir.
And I don't think it's a Ravens facility, but it's purple.
Yes, sir.
And it wouldn't be one for Prince either, I wouldn't think. But in the back here, where this is the wall in the alley where the trash was.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you ever, at various times, witness the licensee out there cleaning trash, even if it was in the alley?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when you were there, did you have a discussion with him about that not being their trash, the people throwing trash in the alley?
Yes.
And about people, he was picking them up at various times. They would find trash and they would put it in the dumpster even though it wasn't their trash?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
But
And-
it is
and-
their responsibility to make sure that the premises of the establishment is clean.
Yeah. The premises end at the wall.
Mhm.
That's, not in the alley.
Right.
The alley belongs to the city of Baltimore. They have no use of that. And later on, did you see this sign when they put no dumping and there's still trash in there? I don't want to make this more complicated, but I don't know if you're, 1, 2, 3, 4, ABC, does it make a difference? But through the time that you were doing this, the licensee was cooperative with you, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And the area that was close to the dumpster was clean of debris, and they had the dumpster was secured against the side of the building. Would that be fair?
You said the dumpster was clean of debris?
No, was it against the side of the building and secured?
Yes.
And the dumpster was about where it was in that picture?
Yes. hmm
I don't know if that,
Of that time, yes.
I don't know if that questions.
I have a question.
Sure.
One half of the alley that abuts a property, are you familiar with who's responsible for it?
I think it's an abandoned home that is across the.
No, let me state, maybe it wasn't clear. The property that has the trash and debris behind it. You cited the property owner because the trash and debris is in the alley behind his property. Are you familiar with a housing law or regulation that states that one half of the alley and rear of a property is still the resident's responsibility to keep clean? Are you familiar with that?
I'm educated as you're speaking, yes.
Okay. Well, you don't know that. Does that rule attest to what the requirements are? I work in this area, that's why I don't want to testify, but you cited him. Why did you cite him for the trash and debris in the alley?
Because the trash was actually on the establishment, on the premises of his establishment.
It was in the alley that he was responsible for, the portion of the alley that he was responsible for.
Yes, it was on his side of the alley.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
All right.
When you
That's-
said,
And you say that because the
I
city
say
has
that-
a law that states that one half of the alley that
Right.
abuts your property is your responsibility, and you're
Yes.
charged with keeping it clean. If not, you can be fined, citation, or a notice can be issued, or you can be put in court.
Absolutely. Because the last time that I went to the establishment, the trash was on the other side, which wasn't, they had cleaned up their portion on their side of the alley, and the resident side the trash was on their resident side.
That's lacking to if one half of that alley was defective.
Right.
The city would fix it, but they would charge you for it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make clear that
in reference to that, who owns the building?
I don't know who owns the building on the side across from them.
Who owns this building? Did you determine who owned the building?
The owners of the building? Yeah, they own, no, I did not.
No, you did not.
Right.
So the building owner would have been responsible under Mr. Jones's, wait a minute. There's no citation here from the Health Department, HCD, Fire Department, or any other agency, is that correct?
Right.
You don't have authority to issue violations from the Health Department, the Fire Department, or HCD, correct?
We have a list of rules and regulations that can be found in the liquor manual. In the liquor manual, it does talk about general welfare and safety.
All right, but did you issue a citation under that?
Yes.
You issued a trash citation.
Yeah, sanitation and safety.
All right, and that reads, the licensee shall operate their establishment, and this trash was not in their establishment, correct?
The trash was in the alley on their side of the,
It's outside their building, in the
Yes,
alley.
yes.
So it wasn't in their establishment.
no, it was not inside the establishment.
Okay, and none of this trash had anything in there that had to do with any liquor components or beer components, as far as you could see. I'm not putting words in your mouth. There were things there where normally there's cushions there and diapers and so forth.
Mhm.
I don't know if I have questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Clark, who did you give the verbal warning to on May the 3rd? I mean, February the 3rd?
I have the verbal warning that I've given to the, one moment. To the person that signed the inspection that was there on February 3rd.
What capacity do you know that were they an employee, were they a manager, were they?
No, I do not have that specific information at this time.
But in any event, that's not the subject of the event that happened in March, is that correct? Okay.
Right.
Any other questions?
Yeah. This location where this establishment is located, is there any other residential or business unit at this location?
No, there's no.
So this is the only business at this location?
That's on the corner.
On the
yes,
corner.
On that side of the street, yes, sir.
All right, which means that the location, whoever manage or control that location, doesn't have to be the owner, or it could be.
Right.
They would be responsible for that trash and debris in the back alley. That's what you're saying to me.
On their side of the alley.
On their side
yes,
of the alley.
Yes, sir.
And regardless of whether or not they own the building or not.
Right. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, but that's not what you were saying, that's what Mr. Jones was saying.
That was a question I asked him this
Yeah,
time.
but
He
it was
said
in the
yes.
form of, aren't you saying, you know, that your name is so-and-so, and it's his name, for the record?
Do you have any more questions for this witness?
No.
No, okay. Anybody else have any other questions?
Nothing else.
No, all right.
We make a motion at this point, it's not a licensed premises. Nobody knows, even if you follow Mr. Jones's theory as to who's responsible for it. Obviously, you look at the pictures, it has nothing to do with the establishment at all, and it's an alleyway, and there's trash all over the alleyway. The responsibility with regard to the alleyways, the half to half is, usually has to do with maintenance of an alleyway. There's nothing here that would indicate under your Rule .308 that they did anything, and nobody can understand, nobody has testified that any of that trash belonged to them.
Okay. So I would deny the motion, just on the question of law. I would deny the motion because as I read Rule 3.08, it doesn't say that you're only responsible for the inside of your establishment. You're responsible for the establishment as a whole. And I do believe that property owners, and that would include renters, are responsible for maintaining the alleyway behind their immediate property. And the photographs do show that the trash is right up against the building and then spilling into almost half of the alley. So I do find that that the law is applied to them. So I deny the motion.
I might agree with you if it had to do with other than a liquor violation, but I'm not. And I'd submit this point, because I think at this point, taking the testimony that is most favorable to the licensee, there's nothing that they did here to create or do anything with the situation. And obviously, they went in there and they have a dumpster, they cleaned up. They, you know, if you want to hear about mitigation, I can tell you that they go out there clean every day. People throw stuff in the alley.
Right.
Now, you're not going to find them.
So I'll give you the rule that my mother applied to us when we were growing up. You can be responsible for what you did, and you can also be responsible for what you didn't do. And I think it's the latter here that we're here to talk about.
Well, but there's no testimony that they didn't clean up
Well, there's evidence that they didn't.
for that particular time.
And
let
in
me just
relation,
let me call
well,
my name.
it's your case, you decide, but,
Come on, just give
but
me-
it's
put your
not
name
just
and address
at that particular time, but on that date. And there's photographic evidence. And
State your name and address for the record, please.
Joginder Singh.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Joginder Singh.
Okay, thank you.
And you're the licensee there, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have a dumpster on your side of your building?
Yes, sir.
And the trash that's in the back there, is any of that trash your trash?
No.
Do you go out every day and clean up and put the trash in a dumpster?
No.
Even though that's not your trash?
No.
All right, and does that happen on a fairly frequent occasion, like every day?
No.
So when you go down in the morning, how often does it take to you before you clean it up?
Every day in the alley, have a 5-10 bag.
5 or 10 bags worth of trash?
Yeah.
And you were never cited by the city of Baltimore, is that correct?
No.
Other than this one here? All right, submit at this point.
Okay. Just a question. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Paramjit Singh.
I'm sorry?
Paramjit Singh. Paramjit.
Okay, and what is your relationship to the licensee, if any?
He's a property owner with me.
You own the property? You own the property? Right, so you own the property that Club 2300 is located in?
Yes.
Yes, but you're not on the license, is that right?
The license, liquor license, just under his name.
Just, and who is Joginder Samra?
He's my partner.
He's your partner, but he's not here today.
He's not here.
Now, have you been involved in other license cases? Have you had other license, other,
I have a license under my name at a different property.
in a different property? Because I think I recognize you.
Yeah, it was a.
Does that sound, am I off base on that?
That was like a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah, it was a year and a half ago. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you only come for the violations,
No, I never had any violation.
not you personally.
No, I never had any violation.
Okay. But did you also work sometimes as an advisor or? No, you did not. Okay, all right, good, all right. Any questions for either of these gentlemen?
Mr. Singh, so is it your testimony then that if you clean up the property in the alleys every morning, that
They have sometimes have a 1 bag, 2 bag. They have put in my trash dumpster. They have a 10-15 bag. I can do it put in my dumpster in the full. I need I put in the 1 week in my stuff in the dumpster. 1 bag, 2 bag is okay. I put in the 1 bag, 2 bag in my
So
dumpster.
what I'm trying to figure out is if you do that every morning, so you clean up the alley every morning?
No, not an alley. I clean up my side over there.
Thank you.
I was going to ask
Mr.
the
Jones?
question about the trash in the alley, but he just answered that. He said he do not clean the alley every day. In my experience in looking at trash, this trash been here for more than a day. So you have to realize that it's your responsibility from one half of that alley behind your property line to keep clean daily. I just like somebody walking in the front of your property and drop a potato chip bag. You didn't put it there, but you're responsible for cleaning up your property.
Okay.
Mr. Singh, are you aware of a warning on February 3rd?
Yes.
And did you speak to Mr. Clark or anyone else in connection with that warning in terms of the issue in the alley?
Yeah, my guy working over there. He told me, but I told for the clean up every day. They clean up every day in the front side, in the side over there. They only have a 15-20 bag. How can I clean up for that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, ready for decision? I do find you responsible for violation of Rule 3.08 of our rules regarding sanitation. And just going to read it to you. Rule 3.08A says that a licensee shall operate their establishment in accordance with the requirements of the Department of Housing and Community Development and the City Police Department and any other applicable state or federal laws, rules, or regulations. Licensee shall provide containers for the disposal of garbage and refuse material, and then it talks about the containers conforming. Licensee shall keep the containers covered at all times and shall remove all refuse material regularly. And the photographs show a large collection of trash behind the building, and you are responsible for that area. So for that reason, I do find the violation.
I concur.
I do as well. I don't have a high tolerance for this. I think that this is something that you have got to address. The city has enough trash around. And what troubles me further is the fact that Mr. Clark gave a verbal warning on February 3rd. And if you had questions, it certainly is within your right, and I would have encouraged you to speak to him so you have a better understanding, but you didn't. So this is one where I too find you're in violation.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the penalty. This is your first violation, but I want to point out something, which I just think it has to be said. As I understand it, you became the licensee October 13, 2015. Is that correct? And this violation occurred, well, there was a warning February 3rd. And then the violation was actually, the citation was actually issued March 10. So that's about 5 months. And I think that's very early in the life of your having a license to be having a violation. I understand you feel it's not your responsibility, it's not your fault. I believe you when you say that it's not your trash, you didn't put it there, but it is your responsibility to remove it, and certainly your landlord. You own the building, you need to help him get a handle on this. It's your first violation, so we're very limited in what we're able to impose in terms of a penalty. I believe that you're going to get a handle on this. I don't think you're going to come back for this violation. I think you have very clear understanding now of what your responsibility is. So I'm going to impose a penalty of just $250. And of course, then our cost for being here today, which I think is still $125. So the total is $375.
I agree.
I concur.
Okay, now do you
Payable within a week?
pay within a week? All right, so you're comfortable with that? Payment within 1 week? Yes? Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We are finished for the day. We can go back and,
Mrs. Singh?
oh, yep. There's some little paperwork that you need to take care of.
So the board is in recess until June the 23rd, 10 a.m. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned.